Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And we have with us today Mrs. Femina Akesha, tour guide and researcher in heritage. And it's always a pleasure having you with us, Femini. Now, for the past days or perhaps a week, we have been talking about the Golden Pharaohs Parade. And of course, the new museum. We are all proud of having the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization. And also, we are looking forward to the inauguration of the Great Egyptian Museum, the Grand Egyptian Museum, GEM, especially after the announcement that another parade will take place during the inauguration of Tutankhamun's collection. So let's start with the main event, the glorious event that we and the whole world witnessed last week. How do you see the importance of the parade that we have watched with all its details in attracting more tourists to Egypt?
Definitely, it's a very important show. It's the glorious history, actually, and our civilization that is behind developing such a beautiful, outstanding show. The whole world, as you said, is talking about it. And every single detail in this show has been very well thought of. From the lights, the music that are chosen in, and the words of the song that's chosen in hieroglyphic is the hymn of the goddess Isis. The whole show portrays actually the journey of the kings in the underworld, being protected by many symbols of the ancient Egyptian, to particularly the resurrection of the Egyptian kings in the afterlife, like the lotus flower, because the lotus flower in the morning it opens every day and at night it closes. The scarab or the beetle also, it's a symbol of resurrection. The color schemes that were chosen in this parade are only 5 colors. The royal blue, which is considered the symbol of the Nile.
I was just talking with you about that because I've been wearing only blue since last week.
It is the color of the life of Egypt. The Nile is the life of Egypt. The green color also is the color of the trees and the plants. The white and black, the light and day. And the gold, which is the symbol of the god Ra, the sun god, so the symbol of the rays of the sun. So every single thing has been really chosen very carefully. The lights, everything is really a fantastic show.
Yes, also the pre-recorded scenes that have been recorded in Egypt's most famous attractions. The pyramids and the Sphinx, the temples
of Hatshepsut and Luxor. It's magnificent. I think it's a brilliant idea because the whole world was watching, so the whole world could see all the magnificent sights we have to offer, being beautifully lit, beautifully designed, choreography, the dances, even the dancers were all taken from, like in the temples, the music instruments. We could see the same music instrument that were in the tombs in ancient Egypt. I mean, I've even personally sent to many of my friends abroad what they think of the show, and I got zillions of messages really congratulating us on this magnificent show. So I think this reflects a great deal. Many people ask me, where is this thing going to be exhibited, the mummies? And I think also the need to have such a show is to draw the attention of the whole world that there is a new museum that's going to be opened, which is the National Museum of Ancient Egyptian Civilization. Because next year we hope to open the GEM, the Grand Egyptian Museum, which, like you said, is going to have its own parade. So this draws the attention to the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization. Such a show, everybody now is asking, even locally now, the numbers of visitors to the museum is really spectacular.
Speaking of the museum and how you see the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization, what kind of value does it add to Egyptian museums? What makes it so distinguished from other museums?
It is very distinguishable than other museums because it portrays actually the development of the Egyptian civilization throughout the ages, starting from prehistoric. We even have a skeleton of a human being, the oldest, which is around 30 to 35,000 years ago, that was discovered in Sohag. And then we have from the prehistoric to the ancient Egyptian civilization, the Greco-Roman period, the Coptic period, the Jewish even recognition of the Egyptian Jewish heritage, and of course the Islamic civilization. So it portrays a lot of items and the tools which are the face of this civilization. It talks about the development of, for instance, of pottery throughout the ages, medicine, the family, women, the position of women, agriculture and industry, textile.
Women in various parts of Egypt.
Of various parts of Egypt. It talks about the textile also throughout the ages. Even it talks about the architecture throughout the ages until modern times. We see a maquette of the designs of the brilliant Hassan Fathi. So it really gives a whole image of the Egyptian civilization until modern times. We also see like statue of Muhammad Ali, what he did to the development of agriculture, and of course King Fuad, because in his time we had the first Egyptian constitution in 1923, and we have a statue of Khidewi Ismail. In his time also was the very first human rights, actually. People were allowed to build mosques, churches and synagogues for the very first time openly in the time of Khidewi Ismail.
Last year we have seen the inauguration of so many museums, and this reflects the state's special attention to renovating old museums and also establishing new ones with new concepts in terms of the display, state-of-the-art technology, and so on. A new science has been introduced to those museums, and we have seen museums inaugurated in Sharm el-Sheikh, in Hurghada, although those were known as tourist destinations for leisure and fun and beach and sports, but now we're giving a new dimension to those places with the inauguration of the museums. Another museum is expected to be officially inaugurated in the new administrative capital.
Yes.
We have another one in Sohag, expecting Jim. All these museums, what are their value in your own opinion as a tourism, as a tour guide or tourism expert?
I think we can, it's very important to have a lot of museums here because Egypt is such a big country with a lot of places to visit, so it's important to have museums everywhere. Like the ones in Hurghada and Sharm el-Sheikh, most of the tourists who go there, like you said, are for leisure, but therefore also the theme of these museums, like the one in Hurghada, is mainly about beauty. So it gives a sense for the visitor who doesn't really want to get into the details of the history, but it gives them a sense of the beauty of our civilization. So it talks, it gives samples of like the architecture, it gives a sample of the tombs, the beautiful statues throughout the ages. For instance, the regional museum, which was also opened a few years back in Sohag, this is a regional museum that gives really most of the exhibits in this museum. Actually, we can say 90% of the exhibits are discovered in the area. And the importance of Sohag, because the first kings of Egypt came actually from Sohag. And the whole museum talks about the region, about the statues and the exhibits were discovered in the area. So it gives a sense for the people who live there also about their identity.
Yes.
And connects them with their heritage and their identity.
Very important indeed, yes. How do you see all these museums being inaugurated, its importance to us as Egyptians, as local visitors to those museums? Because to be very honest with you, in the past we didn't have that much culture about visiting museums. It was only part of our school trips or university trips, but other than that, many people had no authentic or real sense of having an interest in visiting museums. But I believe that changed. This changed a big deal.
This changed tremendously. I have to say, I even came in this program like 4 years ago, and there were hardly any people I was even talking about that people should go and visit the museums. And I'm very happy to see many Egyptians going now to visit the museums, particularly with this parade. It gives a sense, a lot of sense to the people, to their identity. A lot of people are visiting the new museum now. Everybody's waiting for the gem to be opened. The Royal Carriages Museum, a lot of people also went to visit it. So I think it connects people to their heritage, which is greatly needed in this time.
Which is very rich and diverse.
It is. We have a very rich heritage and a diverse history that covers really a lot of areas.
Your expectations for the Grand Egyptian Museum and other museums that are going to be officially inaugurated. We are expecting also the inauguration of the museum in the new administrative capital, and that should be distinguished.
Yes. I think it's distinguished because I think partly they have a section about the development of the capitals of Egypt throughout the ages, and the other part, it also covers a little bit of the different aspects of the civilization. And I think it's almost ready to be opened. The Grand Egyptian Museum, or the gem, it is going to be a gem, I think, also, and everybody is really, locally and internationally, everybody's waiting for it. I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to people visiting it, because I think the most important is not only the tourists coming, but it's very important that the people of the country go and see their own heritage and understand the rich history behind this heritage.
Yes, it's very important, and couldn't find better words to wrap up this edition of Women's World. I'd like to thank you very much, Femini Aokesha, tour guide and heritage researcher. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us in this edition of Women's World. I'm Hala Al-Hamalawi signing off.